diabetes prevention services and care for tribal members living on the Rocky Boy Reservation. My name is Lauren Small Rodriguez, and I am a first year graduate student for the Masters in Public Health with Community Health and Prevention Sciences concentration, also known as MPH CHIPS, at the University of Montana.
I am Keynan Foster, a first-year graduate student for a Master's in Environmental Journalism at the University of Montana.
Rocky Boy Tribe, Chippewa Cree. Slide 3 briefly describes the demographics and the population size of the Rocky Boy Reservation. As you can see, there are over 6,000 enrolled Chippewa Cree tribal members, and the Rocky Boys agency encompasses approximately 122,000 acres. This information was found on Montana's Governor's Office of Indian Affairs. Rocky Boy Tribal Health Diabetes Prevention Goals. In the Diabetes Prevention Department, primary goals are to decrease the prevalence of diabetes for the Rocky Boy community through prevention efforts targeted at education, diet, and exercises. This was a really great tool that I found on the Rocky Boys Clinic's website that briefly described their mission statement and services that are provided throughout the community. The top 3 most prevalent disabilities for the Rocky Boy tribes are identified via the U.S. Census data from the American Fact Finders website. The top 3 that I found was physical disability, sensory disability, and mental disability. As you can see, the first disability, which is physical, had a sample size of 155, with sensory at 94 and mental disability at 79. For the next 2 slides in 6 and 7 was the actual data from the Indian Health Service Rocky Boy Diabetes Care and Outcomes annual audit for this year, 2019, from the SDPI Key Measures Report, utilizing 376 patient files. Measurable factors that are included into this report is the type of diabetes treatment, statin prescribed, gender, male, female, age, less than 20 years old, 20 to 44, 45 to 64, and 65 years of age and over. Diabetes type 1 and 2, duration of diabetes being diagnosed, less than 1 year, less than 10 years, more than 10 years. Another factor that's being calculated is BMI levels, body mass index, which is the normal level of BMI, less than 25, overweight category, which is 25 to 29.9, obese, which is a BMI of over 30. Another factor is going to be blood sugar control, which is your A1C accounts of less than 7, greater than 7, and greater than 11. As you look through this data, you can kind of see the story of these numbers, but also of the community members who reside in the Rocky Boy community. You can see the majority are female with average age of 45 to 64 years old, who are also prescribed with a statin medication, and the majority of those patients take insulin and are currently on one medication. So just briefly looking over all of these numbers, you kind of also look at the people who are associated with those numbers, and it helps tell a better story. Slide 7 continues on with the report with measurable factors of diabetes care and outcomes, such as diagnosis of hepatitis C and immunization history of the flu, pneumonia, DTaP, TTaP, hepatitis C. Other factors are related into this, which is mental health. Within mental health, 30% have said yes to are categorized with depression, as well as being screened. 194 out of 265, which is 73%, have been screened to see if they show factors of depression. And with that, I found very interesting and very assuring that this department of IHS for diabetes management department is doing a really amazing job with caring for their patients on the Rocky Boy Reservation in regards to diabetic health and prevention. Slide 8 briefly describes my interaction with Terry Stump, who is the diabetes educator for the Rocky Boy Health Center. Terry gave me an amazing overview of all of the health services that are provided for the diabetes management department. There are 310 diabetes management department patients who have been registered in this year, 2019. And within that, mailing out kind of activities and constant newsletters is very important in their community. So you can see how many mailings are being sent. So with this one, there's typically over 300 letters that are sent, and these are just letters to remind patients to come in to get evaluated, to get their feet checked, to get all of their levels checked, and make sure they're on the right path to maintenance of their diabetic health. Slide 9 briefly describes the events that are held for the Rocky Boy Tribal Wellness. In addition to postal mailing and reminders, there are so many events that are being held throughout the year. As you can see, there are family fun nights, sobriety walks, TANF barbecues and bonfires in Box Elder and Rocky Boy, family cultural craft nights, screenings at the tribal office, Head Start trick-or-treating, trunk or treat, Sweetheart Stroll, 5 days a week, 3 times per year, Stress Management Forum, Monster Smoothies, Child Care Measures, Rocky Boy and Box Elder, Mother's Day Tea, Walking Clubs, Men's Health Fair, Grandparents in Stress, Walking Around the Res, Diabetes Management Annual Open House. Slide 10 encompasses all of the departmental type of education that's being held within the diabetes management department. There are currently structured diabetes educational classes 4 days per week at the clinic, especially arranged for diabetes management education for both clinic and offsite. Foot care is being also provided at both clinic and in-home. Nutritional education such as glucometer, insulin pen, other types of medication. CGM referrals from providers. Lifestyle coaches are also available for assistance with lifestyle modifications in the home or at the clinic. And finally, there are transportation services that are provided to help patients be transported to and from their home to the local clinic, at the diabetes center, or at the nearest dialysis center. I also wanted to mention that I was unable to find out where is the nearest local dialysis center that patients from the Rocky Boy reservations go to. Based upon geographic location, my assumption and other assumptions from tribal members of the Rocky Boy Reservation have told me most likely it is in Havre or at Great Falls for the nearest dialysis center.
In the video Bad Sugar about diabetes on reservations, Native Americans mentioned that growing up they were never told by their elders that they had diabetes. They were just told that they had bad sugar, making it seem like it was a normal thing amongst their people. This gave a norm around the reservation that people just thought they were going to get diabetes anyways, so why try to stop it? This brought up the question in the video, do Native Americans have a higher risk for diabetes because of their gene makeup? Dr. Warren's theory is that poverty on reservations can increase stress and depression, which can cause high blood pressure and higher blood sugar, in the end resulting in high rates of diabetes. Also, the video mentions commodity food the government started to give reservations in need, which sounds like a great idea until you see the food they were given. Native Americans were given fatty foods like gravy, bread, candy, and many other foods that were high in fat and sugar, which almost seems systematically placed to make reservations unhealthy. This gave reservation communities a loss of self-empowerment and control over their healthy lifestyles, losing their identity of who they really were, and in the end, ultimately giving them all hopelessness. There are many disability outcomes when it comes to diabetes on the Rocky Boy Reservation. Diabetes has a tremendous toll on people's mental health. Mental health can impact a person's diabetes in making it worse. Having this disease can cause depression, which depletes your energy and decreases your motivation, which in the end can make your diabetes treatment plans difficult for any person. Another disability outcome is time. Time is a huge factor when having diabetes. People with diabetes constantly have to check their blood sugar or their blood pressure, as well as take pills and insulin shots throughout the day. Also, if your diabetes worsens, another time-consuming factor is dialysis, which takes hours at a time, multiple times a week. All these factors can affect your at-home life, your work, and your family. I can tell you from my own experience of my dad having diabetes, it not only affected his life, but mine and my family's as well. After his kidney failure, he was extremely sick for years, and we were very concerned. He eventually had to get dialysis 4 hours a day, 3 times a week, for 4 years, until he got a kidney transplant for my mom. He and my family were constantly taking him from dialysis and doctor appointments and always making sure he was taking his shots and/or pills. For years, we were stressed about his health, and that truly affected not only my mental health, but my family and friends as well. Some realistic solutions that could help people with diabetes on the Rocky Boy Reservation are free screenings. Along with that, a better way of transportation for those with disabilities on the reservation, and also those who can't afford making trips to medical centers on the reservation. Another solution is bettering the education for diabetes with the youth around the reservation. Children are our future, and if we just sit back and wait until they grow up and get diabetes, we are the main cause of it. Lastly, fundraisers and awareness around the reservation would help spark conversation and get community leaders to be more proactive about the problem of diabetes around the reservation. Here are some tribal diabetes-related videos that we used for our presentation, and these are our references. Thank you so much.